And welcome into halftime on the Golazo Network. Canada leading Jamaica by a goal to nil, 3-1 on aggregate. Look on their way towards a place in the Nations League semifinals and the Copa America. Second half, of course, to come here on the Golazo Network. Chris Wittyngham and Michael Lahoud in the studio. But the headline today comes from another game going on right now in South America as Brazil are taking on Argentina, an all-time rivalry in world football. But it was marred before the game by scenes in the stands. Fans fighting with each other, police fighting with fans to try and separate the incidents between the Argentina supporters and the Brazil supporters. It's unclear as we sit right now what started all of this, but a melee that delayed the kickoff of this game by a half an hour. And Michael Lahoud, just scenes we don't want to see at a game of this size.
This is very troubling to see this sort of violence, to see this sort of aggression in the biggest game on the planet happening this week in an international window. We see the blood, we see the aggravation. This is a traumatic experience happening in there. You saw the expression in a lot of these fans' faces. They look shell-shocked. The players look shell-shocked. So much so, they left the field to get in the locker room. But look at this. This is the melee. Fans getting on the field right now to escape what could be trampling into a different section.
Yeah, there are scenes of Emiliano Martinez, the goalkeeper for Argentina, getting involved with some of the supporters and trying to separate things. And like you said, there's just that crush of fans and trying to avoid everything going on. Obviously, bloodied fans in the stands. And to me, one of the things that stands out in sort of watching it unfold was the way in which the fans are not separated appropriately for a rivalry this magnitude. You see in European football all the time, the separation between fans of rival clubs. Even you watch a Premier League game of any clubs, there just isn't that. You see Martinez, you saw Lionel Messi being walked off. At one point, the Argentinian players are walked back to their dressing room. They kind of stood in a hallway in the bowels of the Maracanã. You see Messi going back towards that tunnel area. But one of the things in reading about this is that the Maracanã seems to be a common denominator in these situations where there isn't enough of an away end, there isn't enough of a separation between the away supporters and the home supporters, there isn't enough security, and the security that is there is a bit aggressive.
This goes down to the organizing committee, the federation. That's on them. You have to know that the emotions are going to run high. You had a litmus test. You had a preview of this in the Copa Libertadores finals. Boca Junior fans, Fluminense fans, they were going at it, going neck and neck. The violence was fever pitch. This goes up one more notch. It's the national team. This is the biggest game between these two. You know that there's going to be tension in the air on the field. You know the fans, they want to will their teams forward, but there is no excuse for this situation. It should have never happened.
And again, kickoff delayed by a half hour, remains 0-0 as we sit at this moment in time. And the Brazilian police getting into it with the Argentinian police. And one of the things, in speaking to a few friends who are Argentinian, this just always seems to happen in this fixture. Brazil can't seem to figure it out. You can't really assign any blame because we just don't know what started all of this, but it is still something that happens quite often. And like you said, in European football, and even at times going to MLS games, you see the away fans have their own section. You try to make sure that you prevent that commingling as much as possible. I remember going to a game at Watford in England where if you so much as put on a beanie with a logo of a team, get out of here. Like, you're not allowed, because these sorts of things can happen. Even looking at the stands during the game, there's Argentina jerseys mixed with Brazil jerseys. In a game of this temperature, that just can't happen.
No, it definitely, you have to think ahead to what could be. You have to really have safety parameters for every single possibility, and they clearly did not have the parameters for this. Luckily, the game still goes on. No one, as we know, not notarized, not newsworthy just yet. Hopefully all the fans that are involved are still okay. Luckily, the game is still being played.
Yeah, you see some bloody scenes as well. It's been a really difficult thing to look at for about a half hour, but that game is currently going on at Maracanã, 0-0 between Brazil and Argentina.